The morning fog lifted slowly from Portsmouth Naval Base as workers moved with practiced efficiency across the massive shipyard. Among them, Chief Petty Officer Sarah Mitchell checked her watch for the third time in 10 minutes. Today was different. Today, His Majesty King Charles III would arrive to witness something that had been years in the making. The HMS Agamemnon stood like a sleeping giant in the dry dock, her black hull gleaming under the pale December sun. This wasn't just any submarine. She was Britain's newest Astute-class nuclear-powered attack submarine, representing the pinnacle of naval engineering and the future of underwater warfare. At 318 feet long and weighing over 7,000 tons, she embodied decades of technological advancement and billions of pounds in investment. Sarah had worked on submarines for 15 years, but the Agamemnon was special. She remembered when construction began in 2013 at BAE Systems' shipyard in Barrow-in-Furness. The project had faced delays, budget overruns, and technical challenges that would have broken lesser endeavors. Yet here she stood, complete and ready for service. Admiral Sir Ben Key, the First Sea Lord, arrived early that morning to oversee final preparations. He understood the significance of today's ceremony better than most. The Royal Navy had been waiting for this moment since the Agamemnon's keel was first laid. This submarine would join her sister ships HMS Astute, HMS Ambush, HMS Artful, HMS Audacious, HMS Anson, and HMS Agincourt in forming the backbone of Britain's nuclear deterrent force. The Astute-class submarines represented more than military hardware. They symbolized Britain's commitment to maintaining its position as a global naval power in an increasingly uncertain world. Each submarine could stay submerged for months, limited only by the food supplies for her crew of 98 sailors. Their nuclear reactors would never need refueling during their 25-year operational life. As the morning progressed, security teams swept the area multiple times. The arrival of the Monarch required extensive coordination between the Royal Protection Squad, naval security, and local police. Every person who would be within sight of the king had been vetted, their backgrounds checked, and their roles carefully defined. Captain James Harrison, who would command the Agamemnon, spent the early hours reviewing every detail of the submarine with his senior officers. He had been selected for this command after distinguished service on previous nuclear submarines. Today, he would meet his sovereign and formally accept responsibility for one of the most advanced warships in the world. The submarine's capabilities were impressive by any standard. Her sonar systems could detect and track multiple targets simultaneously across vast distances. Her weapon systems included Spearfish torpedoes and Tomahawk cruise missiles, giving her the ability to strike targets both at sea and on land with devastating precision. Her nuclear propulsion system could push her through the water at speeds exceeding 25 knots while remaining virtually silent. Workers made final adjustments to the ceremony area as the time for the royal arrival approached. A red carpet had been laid from where the king's car would stop to the submarine's gangway. Union flags flew alongside the white ensign of the Royal Navy, creating a patriotic display that honored both crown and country. The submarine's crew prepared for inspection, their uniforms pressed to perfection, their boots polished to mirror brightness. Many of these sailors had never met a member of the royal family, let alone their king. The honor of serving aboard a submarine personally visited by His Majesty would stay with them throughout their naval careers. Behind the scenes, the submarine's nuclear reactor hummed quietly, its uranium fuel beginning the controlled fission process that would power the vessel for decades to come. The reactor compartment, heavily shielded and strictly off-limits to all but specially trained personnel, represented the heart of the submarine's capabilities. Without this technology, the Agamemnon would be just another diesel-electric submarine, limited in range and endurance. The engineering marvel that was the Agamemnon had required innovations in metallurgy, electronics, and nuclear technology. Her hull was constructed from special steel alloys designed to withstand the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. Her computers processed information faster than their predecessors, while her communication systems could reach anywhere in the world through satellite links that worked even while submerged. As noon approached, the atmosphere at the naval base grew more formal. Senior naval officers took their positions, while the submarine's crew formed up in precise ranks. The band of the Royal Marines prepared their instruments, ready to play the national anthem when His Majesty arrived. The significance of the Agamemnon extended beyond her immediate military capabilities. She represented thousands of jobs in British shipbuilding, engineering, and technology sectors. Her construction had supported entire communities, particularly in Barrow and Furnace, where skilled workers had labored for years to bring her to life. Sarah Mitchell found herself thinking about her father, who had served on diesel submarines during the Cold War. He had told her stories of cramped conditions, limited air supplies, and the constant fear of detection by enemy forces. The Agamemnon represented a quantum leap from those early submarines, offering her crew safety, comfort, and capabilities that earlier generations could hardly imagine. The submarine's periscope and sensor masts rose above her sail like electronic antennae, capable of gathering intelligence from multiple sources simultaneously. Her computer systems could process sonar data, radar information, and electronic signals while maintaining situational awareness that surpassed anything previously available to submarine commanders. At exactly 12:30, the sound of approaching motorcycles signaled the Royal Motorcade's arrival. Police outriders led the procession through the gates of Portsmouth Naval Base, followed by the distinctive Bentley State Limousine carrying His Majesty King Charles III. The king stepped from his vehicle wearing the uniform of Admiral of the Fleet, a rank he had held since his accession to the throne. His presence immediately transformed the atmosphere at the naval base, bringing a sense of history and tradition that connected the modern Agamemnon to centuries of British naval heritage. Admiral Key greeted His Majesty with a formal salute before beginning the tour of the submarine. The king's questions revealed his genuine interest in naval technology and his understanding of the submarine's strategic importance. He inquired about the crew's living conditions, the submarine's operational capabilities, and her role in defending British interests worldwide. Captain Harrison had the honor of explaining the submarine's systems to his sovereign. He spoke with pride about his crew's training, their dedication to service, and their readiness to take the Agamemnon anywhere in the world's oceans. The king listened intently, occasionally asking questions that demonstrated his knowledge of naval affairs. The tour included visits to the submarine's control room, where the king examined the periscope and sonar displays that would guide the Agamemnon through her missions. He met with members of the crew, learning about their specialized roles and the extensive training required to operate such a complex vessel safely. In the torpedo room, His Majesty observed the loading mechanisms that could deploy the submarine's weapons with lethal efficiency. The king understood that these weapons represented the sharp edge of diplomacy, tools that he hoped would never be used but that provided essential deterrence against potential adversaries. The reactor compartment remained off-limits, but the king received detailed briefings about the nuclear propulsion system that would power the Agamemnon throughout her service life. The technology represented decades of British nuclear expertise, developed and refined through successive generations of nuclear submarines. As the formal tour concluded, the king addressed the assembled crew and shipyard workers. His words acknowledged their skill, dedication, and service to the nation. He spoke of the submarine's role in protecting British interests and maintaining peace through strength. The ceremony reached its climax when His Majesty officially welcomed the HMS Agamemnon into service with the Royal Navy. The submarine's commissioning pennant was raised, while the Royal Marines band played Rule Britannia and God Save the King. For Sarah Mitchell and her colleagues, this moment represented the culmination of years of hard work. The Agamemnon would soon leave Portsmouth for her first operational patrol, carrying Britain's flag beneath the waves and upholding traditions that stretch back to the earliest days of submarine warfare. The king's visit lasted 3 hours, but its impact would endure for the lifetime of the submarine and the careers of everyone present. As the royal motorcade departed, the Agamemnon stood ready to begin her service, a silent guardian prepared to defend the realm wherever duty might call. Beneath the surface. The weeks following the royal visit brought intense preparation as HMS Agamemnon prepared for her maiden operational voyage. Captain Harrison worked closely with his executive officer, Commander Rebecca Walsh, to ensure every system aboard the submarine functioned perfectly. They both understood that first impressions mattered, especially for a vessel that had received personal attention from the king himself. Commander Walsh had joined the submarine service 12 years earlier, breaking barriers as one of the first women to serve aboard nuclear submarines. Her expertise in underwater warfare tactics made her invaluable during the transition from construction to operational readiness. She spent long hours with the crew, conducting drills and simulations that would prepare them for whatever challenges lay ahead. The submarine's nuclear reactor had been operating continuously since the commissioning ceremony, its uranium fuel generating the heat that drove steam turbines and ultimately propelled the massive vessel through the water. Chief Reactor Engineer Lieutenant Commander David Chun monitored every aspect of the nuclear plant, ensuring the reactor operated within precise parameters that guaranteed both safety and optimal performance. Chun had spent 2 years at the Royal Naval College studying nuclear engineering before specializing in submarine reactor operations. He understood that the reactor represented both the submarine's greatest asset and its most significant responsibility. The nuclear fuel would provide virtually unlimited underwater endurance, but only if managed with absolute precision and unwavering attention to safety protocols. The Agamemnon's sonar suite represented the most advanced underwater detection system ever installed aboard a British submarine. Chief Sonar Technician Petty Officer Mark Thompson had trained for months on the new equipment, learning to interpret the acoustic signatures that would allow the submarine to navigate safely and detect potential threats from vast distances. Thompson could distinguish between commercial shipping, military vessels, and even different classes of submarines based solely on the sounds they produced while moving through the water. His skills would prove essential during operational patrols, where the ability to identify and track other vessels could mean the difference between mission success and potential disaster. The submarine's weapons systems underwent extensive testing during the pre-deployment period. Weapons Officer Lieutenant Sarah Blackwood supervised the loading of practice torpedoes and the calibration of targeting systems that could engage multiple threats simultaneously. The Spearfish torpedoes carried by the Agamemnon represented the latest in underwater weaponry, capable of destroying the largest enemy vessels with a single hit. Blackwood had studied weapons engineering at university before joining the Royal Navy, drawn by the challenge of mastering some of the most sophisticated military technology in the world. She took pride in maintaining systems that she hoped would never be used in anger, but that provided essential deterrence against potential adversaries. The submarine's communication systems allowed contact with naval headquarters and other friendly forces anywhere in the world. Communications specialist leading seaman Jennifer Parker managed equipment that could transmit and receive messages through satellite links, underwater acoustic systems, and traditional radio frequencies. Parker's role extended beyond simple message handling to include the management of highly classified information that flowed between the submarine and higher command authorities. Her security clearance allowed access to intelligence reports and operational orders that would guide the Agamemnon's missions throughout her deployment. Navigation aboard a nuclear submarine required skills far beyond those needed for surface vessels. Navigation Officer Lieutenant Michael Foster used a combination of traditional celestial navigation, GPS positioning when surfaced, and inertial guidance systems that functioned regardless of weather conditions or enemy interference. Foster had qualified as a submarine navigator after extensive training that included mathematics, astronomy, and the operation of sophisticated electronic systems. His calculations would guide the Agamemnon safely through some of the world's most dangerous waters, avoiding underwater obstacles and ensuring the submarine remained precisely on course despite spending weeks without visual reference points. The submarine's medical officer, Surgeon Lieutenant Dr. Emma Richards, prepared for the unique challenges of providing health care in an underwater environment. Her medical bay contained equipment for treating everything from minor injuries to major trauma. Those serious cases would require emergency surfacing and helicopter evacuation. Dr. Richards had volunteered for submarine duty after completing her medical training, attracted by the challenge of practicing medicine in one of the most demanding environments imaginable. She served not only as the crew's doctor, but also as their counselor, helping sailors cope with the psychological pressures of extended underwater deployment. The engineering department worked around the clock to ensure every mechanical system aboard the Agamemnon operated flawlessly. Chief Engineering Officer Lieutenant Commander Paul Morrison supervised teams responsible for everything from the nuclear reactor to the air conditioning systems that made life bearable in the submarine's confined spaces. Morrison's experience included service aboard 3 previous nuclear submarines, where he had learned to diagnose and repair complex mechanical problems using only the tools and spare parts available aboard the vessel. His expertise would prove essential during long patrols when the submarine operated far from any maintenance facility. The submarine's galley represented one of the most important spaces aboard the vessel, as the quality of food significantly affected crew morale during extended deployments. Chief Cook Petty Officer Robert Davies had trained extensively in preparing nutritious meals using ingredients that could be stored for months without refrigeration. Davies took pride in maintaining variety in the submarine's menu despite the limitations imposed by storage space and preservation requirements. His creativity in combining basic ingredients into appetizing meals would help maintain crew morale during the long weeks ahead. The weeks of preparation culminated in a final inspection by Admiral Key, who arrived unannounced to assess the submarine's readiness for operational deployment. His examination covered every department, from the nuclear reactor to the weapons systems, ensuring that the Agamemnon met the exacting standards expected of Royal Navy submarines. The Admiral's questions challenged each department head to demonstrate their knowledge and readiness. He inquired about emergency procedures, tested the crew's response to simulated casualties, and verified that every sailor understood their role in maintaining the submarine's operational effectiveness. Captain Harrison accompanied the Admiral throughout the inspection, explaining the improvements and innovations that distinguished the Agamemnon from her predecessors. The submarine's advanced sonar systems, improved crew accommodations, and enhanced weapons capabilities represented significant advances in submarine technology. The inspection revealed the months of preparation had achieved their purpose. Every system functioned according to specifications. Every crew member demonstrated competence in their assigned duties, and the submarine stood ready to assume her place among the elite vessels of the Royal Navy's nuclear submarine force. As the inspection concluded, Admiral Key addressed the assembled crew, expressing his confidence in their abilities and emphasizing the importance of their mission. He reminded them that they carried not only the honor of the Royal Navy, but also the responsibility of defending British interests in an increasingly complex world. The Admiral's words carried special weight, coming so soon after the King's visit. The crew understood that their performance would reflect not only on themselves and their submarine, but also on the entire nuclear submarine program that represented such a significant investment in Britain's defense capabilities. Final preparations included the loading of operational torpedoes and cruise missiles, transforming the Agamemnon from a training vessel into a fully operational warship. The weapons loading process required extreme care, as each torpedo weighed over 3,000 pounds and contained enough explosive power to sink the largest enemy vessel. The submarine's nuclear reactor underwent final adjustments as the engineering team prepared for extended operation away from shore support. The reactor would run continuously for months, requiring careful monitoring and maintenance by personnel who had trained for years to operate one of the most complex machines ever built. Communication systems received final updates to encryption codes and operational frequencies that would allow secure contact with naval headquarters throughout the deployment. The submarine's ability to communicate while submerged represented a crucial advantage that would allow real-time coordination with other friendly forces. Weather forecasters provided detailed briefings on conditions the submarine might encounter during her maiden voyage. Unlike surface vessels, submarines could ignore most weather conditions, but heavy seas could affect operations requiring the vessel to surface or operate at periscope depth. The final week before departure brought a steady stream of supplies and equipment aboard the submarine. Every available space was utilized to carry the food, spare parts, and consumables needed to sustain the crew during their extended patrol. As departure day approached, the submarine's crew conducted final drills and emergency exercises, ensuring their readiness for any situation they might encounter. Their training had prepared them for everything from fire and flooding to nuclear reactor casualties and weapons malfunctions. The night before departure, Captain Harrison walked through every compartment of his submarine, checking preparations and speaking with crew members about the mission ahead. His confidence in their abilities was matched only by his determination to bring every sailor home safely at the mission's end. Hashtag into the deep dawn broke gray and cold over Portsmouth Naval Base as HMS Agamemnon prepared to slip her moorings for the first operational patrol. The submarine's crew had been awake since 4 in the morning, conducting final checks and preparing for departure. Captain Harrison stood on the bridge atop the submarine's sail, watching as tugs maneuvered into position to guide his vessel safely out of harbor. The moment held special significance for everyone involved. This was more than just another submarine leaving port. It was the beginning of the Agamemnon's operational career and a test of years of planning, construction, and training. The king's personal blessing on the vessel added weight to an already momentous occasion. Commander Walsh coordinated departure procedures from the control room, her voice calm and professional as she managed the complex process of getting underway. Every action required careful coordination between multiple departments, from the nuclear reactor operators who controlled the submarine's power to the navigation team, plotting their course through increasingly crowded shipping lanes. The Agamemnon's nuclear reactor had been running at idle power for hours, ready to provide the energy needed for maneuvering and eventual transit to deeper waters. Chief Reactor Engineer Lieutenant Commander Chun monitored his instruments carefully, ensuring the reactor responded properly to changing power demands as the submarine began moving. Tugs nudged the massive submarine away from her berth with practiced precision. The Agamemnon displaced over 7,000 tons, making her one of the largest vessels to regularly use Portsmouth Naval Base. Her movement required careful coordination with harbor control to avoid interference with other naval and commercial traffic. As the submarine cleared the harbor breakwater, Captain Harrison ordered the tugs cast off and took direct control of his vessel. The feeling of commanding such a powerful warship never lost its appeal, even for an experienced officer like Harrison. The Agamemnon responded to his orders with the precision of a finely tuned instrument. The English Channel presented the first test of the submarine's systems and crew readiness. Commercial shipping from across Europe converged in these waters, creating a complex traffic pattern that required constant vigilance from the sonar operators and navigation team. Chief Sonar Technician Thompson tracked dozens of contacts simultaneously, identifying each vessel and plotting its course to avoid potential conflicts. Navigation Officer Foster used multiple positioning systems to guide the submarine through the busy shipping lanes. GPS provided precise location data while the submarine remained on the surface, but he also monitored traditional navigation aids and prepared for the transition to inertial guidance that would be necessary once the submarine submerged. The crew settled into watch routines that would govern their lives for the next several months. Submarine operations required 24-hour manning of critical stations, dividing the crew into watch sections that rotated every 6 hours. This schedule ensured constant readiness while allowing crew members adequate rest in the confined environment. Dr. Richards made her rounds through the submarine, checking on crew members and addressing minor medical issues that might become serious problems during extended deployment. Submarine medicine required special skills, as evacuation was impossible except in the most extreme circumstances, and, even then, only if the submarine could reach the surface safely. The galley began producing the first meals of the deployment, with Chief Cook Davies working to maintain variety and nutritional balance despite the constraints of submarine cooking. Fresh food would last only a few weeks, after which the crew would rely on preserved and packaged food stored throughout the submarine. As evening approached, Captain Harrison ordered the submarine to diving stations, beginning the transition from surface operations to the underwater environment where nuclear submarines truly excelled. The process required careful coordination between all departments as ballast tanks flooded and the submarine settled beneath the waves. The sensation of submerging never became routine for crew members, even those with extensive submarine experience. The gentle downward angle of the deck and the subtle changes in sound and vibration marked the transition from one world to another, from the familiar realm of surface ships to the hidden domain beneath the waves. Once submerged, the Agamemnon revealed her true capabilities. Free from the constraints of surface weather and hidden from observation by potential adversaries, the submarine could travel at high speed while remaining virtually undetectable. Her nuclear propulsion allowed sustained underwater speeds that exceeded most surface vessels. The control room atmosphere grew more intense as the submarine operated in three-dimensional space. Navigation required constant attention to depth, course, and speed, while sonar operators monitored for underwater obstacles and other submarines that might pose collision risks. Lieutenant Commander Chun reported reactor status regularly as power demands increased with higher underwater speeds. The nuclear plant responded smoothly to changing requirements, providing the energy needed for propulsion, life support, and electronic systems without the limitations that plagued diesel-electric submarines. The submarine's mission orders remained classified, known only to the captain and his senior officers. The crew understood they were conducting operational patrols in areas of strategic importance, but specific details were limited to those who needed such information for their duties. Communication with naval headquarters occurred at scheduled intervals, using systems that allowed message transmission without revealing the submarine's position to potential enemies. The Agamemnon could receive orders and intelligence updates while maintaining the stealth that represented her primary advantage. The first week of deployment tested every system aboard the submarine while allowing the crew to settle into deployment routines. Minor mechanical problems were identified and corrected by the engineering department, while the weapons team conducted simulated attack exercises using the submarine's advanced fire control systems. Weapons Officer Lieutenant Blackwood supervised torpedo loading exercises and fire control drills that prepared her team for potential combat scenarios. The exercises used practice weapons and simulated targets, but the procedures and timing were identical to actual combat situations. The submarine sonar suite proved its capabilities as Thompson and his team tracked contacts across vast distances, identifying vessel types and movements with remarkable precision. The passive sonar systems could detect and classify targets without revealing the submarine's presence, providing crucial intelligence about naval activities in the patrol area. Daily routine aboard the Agamemnon combined military discipline with the informal atmosphere necessary for extended deployment in confined spaces. Officers and enlisted personnel worked closely together, their shared expertise and mutual dependence creating bonds that transcended traditional military hierarchy. Recreation opportunities were limited by space constraints, but the crew made use of small gym equipment, reading materials, and video entertainment systems installed throughout the submarine. Maintaining morale during long deployments required creative use of available resources and strong leadership at all levels. The submarine's air purification systems worked continuously to maintain breathable atmosphere despite the sealed environment. Nuclear submarines generated their own oxygen through electrolysis of seawater, while sophisticated filtration systems removed contaminants and maintained air quality that exceeded many surface facilities. Navigation challenges increased as the submarine operated in deeper waters where underwater mountains and seamounts pose collision risks. Foster's charts and electronic navigation systems provided detailed information about underwater topography, but constant vigilance was required to avoid dangerous areas. The nuclear reactor continued operating flawlessly, providing virtually unlimited endurance limited only by food supplies and maintenance requirements. The engineering team conducted routine maintenance and monitoring procedures that ensured continued safe operation of the nuclear plant. Emergency drills tested crew response to simulated casualties ranging from fire and flooding to reactor problems and weapons malfunctions. These exercises maintained readiness while identifying areas where additional training might be needed. Communications Specialist Parker managed message traffic with Naval Headquarters, processing intelligence reports and operational updates that kept the submarine informed of global developments affecting her mission. The flow of information helped maintain connection with events beyond the submarine's immediate environment. The submarine's waste management systems processed all materials generated by the crew, compacting solid waste for storage and treating liquid waste before discharge in accordance with international environmental regulations. Even underwater, the submarine maintained strict environmental standards. Weather conditions on the surface had no effect on the submarine's operations, allowing continuous progress regardless of storms or rough seas that might delay surface vessels. The Agamemnon's depth provided protection from surface conditions while allowing optimal use of her speed and stealth capabilities. The first month of deployment passed without incident as the crew gained confidence in their submarine and their abilities to operate her effectively. The Agamemnon had proven herself worthy of the king's confidence and the investment she represented in Britain's naval future. Captain Harrison reviewed intelligence reports and mission updates regularly, adjusting patrol patterns and priorities based on global developments and specific threats that might affect British interests. His decisions balanced mission requirements with crew safety and submarine security. The submarine's presence in international waters sent clear signals about British naval capabilities and resolve, contributing to regional stability through visible demonstration of advanced military technology and professional competence. #Return to Glory 3 months beneath the waves had transformed HMS Agamemnon from a newly commissioned vessel into a seasoned warship with a proven crew. Captain Harrison stood in the control room, reviewing the final intelligence briefings before beginning the journey home to Portsmouth. The patrol had exceeded all expectations, demonstrating both the submarine's capabilities and the crew's professional competence. Commander Walsh compiled the mission reports that would be studied by naval strategists and submarine commanders for years to come. The Agamemnon's patrol had collected valuable intelligence, tracked potential threats, and demonstrated British naval reach in strategically important waters. Her success validated the investment in nuclear submarine technology and the wisdom of maintaining a powerful underwater deterrent force. The submarine's nuclear reactor had performed flawlessly throughout the deployment, requiring minimal maintenance while providing reliable power for all operations. Chief Reactor Engineer Lieutenant Commander Chun took particular pride in the reactor's performance record, which compared favorably with the best achievements of previous submarine classes. Chen's careful monitoring and maintenance had prevented even minor problems that might have affected the submarine's operational capability. His expertise ensured that the reactor would continue operating safely throughout the transit home and during future deployments that would test the submarine's endurance even more severely. The sonar department had achieved remarkable success in tracking and identifying contacts throughout the patrol area. Chief Sonar Technician Thompson and his team had cataloged acoustic signatures from dozens of vessels, building a database of information that would benefit future submarine operations in the region. Thompson's skill in passive sonar operation had allowed the submarine to gather intelligence while remaining completely undetected by potential adversaries. His ability to distinguish between different vessel types and national origins had provided commanders with crucial information about naval activities in sensitive areas. Weapons systems had been tested repeatedly during the deployment, though fortunately never used in anger. Weapons Officer Lieutenant Blackwood had supervised numerous practice exercises that confirmed the submarine's ability to engage multiple targets simultaneously with devastating effectiveness. Blackwood's department had maintained the complex weapons systems in perfect condition despite the challenging environment and limited repair facilities available aboard the submarine. Her team's dedication ensured that the Agamemnon remained a credible threat to any potential adversary throughout the deployment. The navigation department had guided the submarine safely through some of the world's most challenging waters without incident. Navigation Officer Lieutenant Foster's precision in plotting courses and avoiding underwater obstacles had been essential to mission success and crew safety. Foster's expertise in underwater navigation had been tested by everything from shifting currents to underwater mountain ranges that posed collision risks for unwary submarines. His calculations and chart work had kept the Agamemnon on course while maintaining the precise positioning required for intelligence-gathering operations. Medical care throughout the deployment had maintained crew health and morale despite the challenging conditions of extended underwater operations. Surgeon Lieutenant Dr. Richards had treated numerous minor injuries and illnesses while providing counseling and support for crew members struggling with the psychological pressures of submarine duty. Dr. Richards' presence had reassured crew members that expert medical care was available even in the middle of the ocean. Her role extended far beyond treating physical ailments to include maintaining the mental health and emotional stability essential for effective submarine operations. The engineering department had maintained every system aboard the submarine in peak operating condition throughout the deployment. Chief Engineering Officer Lieutenant Commander Morrison and his teams had conducted hundreds of maintenance procedures while diagnosing and correcting minor problems before they could affect submarine operations. Morrison's leadership had created a culture of preventive maintenance that kept the submarine running smoothly despite the wear and tear of continuous operations. His department's expertise had been crucial to the mission's success and would be equally important during future deployments. Food service throughout the deployment had maintained variety and nutrition despite the constraints of submarine cooking. Chief Cook Davies had managed food supplies expertly while creating meals that boosted morale and maintained crew health during the long weeks underwater. Davies' creativity in combining preserved ingredients had provided welcome variety in the submarine's menu. His efforts to celebrate holidays and special occasions had helped maintain crew morale during the most challenging periods of the deployment. Communications with naval headquarters had continued throughout the patrol, allowing the submarine to receive updated intelligence and mission modifications while maintaining operational security. Communications specialist leading Seaman Parker had managed message traffic efficiently while protecting classified information from potential interception. Parker's expertise in communication security had been essential to maintaining the submarine's stealth while staying connected with higher command authorities. Her work had enabled real-time coordination with other friendly forces operating in the same region. The submarine's return journey began with careful navigation through increasingly busy shipping lanes as the vessel approached European waters. The crew's excitement about returning home was tempered by professional focus on completing the mission safely and successfully. Surface contacts increased dramatically as the Agamemnon approached the English Channel, requiring constant vigilance from the sonar department and navigation team. Commercial shipping from across Europe created complex traffic patterns that demanded expert seamanship to navigate safely. Intelligence reports indicated increased naval activity in the submarine's return route, requiring careful route planning to avoid potential confrontations with vessels from nations that might object to British submarine operations in the region. Captain Harrison's experience proved invaluable in selecting courses that balanced safety with operational security. The submarine surfaced briefly to receive final intelligence updates and confirm arrival schedules with Portsmouth Naval Base. The brief exposure to surface conditions reminded crew members of the world they had left behind 3 months earlier, though many had grown so accustomed to submarine life that the surface seemed almost alien. Communication with families had been extremely limited throughout the deployment, adding emotional pressure to the technical challenges of submarine operations. The prospect of reunion with loved ones provided additional motivation to complete the mission successfully and return home safely. Final equipment checks revealed the submarine had sustained minimal wear despite 3 months of continuous operations in demanding conditions. The Agamemnon's robust construction and quality components had withstood the test of extended deployment while maintaining full operational capability. Medical examinations of crew members showed excellent health maintenance throughout the deployment, validating the submarine's life support systems and the effectiveness of preventive medical care in the confined environment. The approach to Portsmouth required careful coordination with harbor authorities and other naval vessels sharing the busy facility. The Agamemnon's return had been eagerly anticipated by families and naval officials curious about the new submarine's performance during her first operational deployment. Tugs met the submarine at the harbor entrance, guiding her safely through the narrow channels leading to her berth at Portsmouth Naval Base. The sight of the British coastline triggered emotional responses from crew members who had seen nothing but ocean for 3 months. Admiral Key waited at the pier to welcome the submarine home and receive initial reports on her performance during the deployment. His presence demonstrated the importance naval leadership placed on the Agamemnon's mission and the precedent it set for future nuclear submarine operations. Captain Harrison's initial reports confirmed that the submarine had exceeded all performance expectations while completing every assigned mission objective. The crew's professional competence and the submarine's technological capabilities had combined to achieve remarkable success during the maiden operational patrol. The King had requested regular updates on the submarine's performance throughout the deployment, demonstrating continued royal interest in the vessel he had personally welcomed into service. News of the successful patrol would be reported to His Majesty as evidence of the Royal Navy's continued excellence and the wisdom of investment in nuclear submarine technology. Families gathered on the pier as the submarine secured her berth, ending 3 months of separation and uncertainty. The emotional reunions provided stark contrast to the technical precision of submarine operations, reminding everyone that human relationships remained at the heart of naval service. Crew members began the process of transitioning from deployment to home life, a psychological adjustment that could be as challenging as the original adaptation to submarine operations. Support services helped sailors and their families navigate the emotional challenges of reunion after extended separation. Post-deployment analysis would examine every aspect of the submarine's performance, from mechanical systems to crew effectiveness, providing lessons that would improve future operations. The Agamemnon's success had validated design concepts and operational procedures that would guide the entire nuclear submarine program. The submarine's return marked not just the end of one deployment, but the beginning of the Agamemnon's long career as a guardian of British interests beneath the waves. Her success had honored the King's confidence and justified the investment she represented in the nation's naval future. As evening fell over Portsmouth Naval Base, HMS Agamemnon rested quietly at her berth, her crew finally home after 3 months of exemplary service. The submarine that King Charles had blessed with his presence had proven herself worthy of royal confidence and national pride.